We should have started this a long time ago.
All right. This is what happens in your pregame.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Drunk Bitches Be Like. I'm Brandy.
I'm Mindy.
And this is all about two women, a few beers, some tipsy stories, and some drunk ideas.
Welcome.
If you haven't listened to the other podcast and you jumped in on episode 3, we're in Ohio. Mm-hmm. So I was signing up for camping's a big thing in my family.
Why?
Okay. When I say camping, I like to refer to it as condoing.
Okay.
Because my dad has a fifth wheel. So
yeah. I like that.
Air conditioning, heater, bathroom.
Satellite TV.
Yeah, it's got everything. So we like last year, because of quarantine and everything else, we went camping a little bit more than normal. But this year I was like, oh, that was great fun for everybody. Let's do that some more. And everybody's like, yeah, let's do that. But nobody wants to take the initiative to actually sign up or like book the campsites. And camping in Ohio is extremely competitive.
It is. Like, from what I recall, it's been a long time.
It is. So, especially because like there's full hookup sites where like if you have a camper, you can hook into the water and the sewer system. So
that sounds dirty. It's not.
It is. It's a full hookup system. It's like, an extra page on Twitter. That's probably what Twitter is anyway.
Yeah, but I mean,
or not Twitter. What am I thinking of? What's the thing the young kids with the swiping?
Oh, the Tinder.
Tinder. I knew it was a T.
It's more boring than Grindr, I feel like. I think Grindr would be worth exploring, but anyway, that's neither here nor there.
You know what's sad? I don't know what Grindr is.
Oh, Grindr was Tinder before there was Tinder. So again, white people and straight people ruin everything. Grindr used to let you know you could swipe left or swipe right, if I recall. But also it would tell you if you were in the same location as somebody who also had Grindr and had location services on. Oh. So it was for the LGBTQIA plus community. Okay. And it was kind of like a hookup thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like, yeah, I'm really glad that didn't exist when I was in my
I'm a
20s.
serial monogamous, so like that kind of I thank God I didn't have to go through. I mean, I went through it for like a blip. I feel like Tinder I used for a blip, and somebody else signed me up for it. And then like people would take my phone and start swiping things for me. Yeah. And then you'd get these random guys that would text you like horrible things, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm old school. Like I want to go to a bar to have a few drinks and then, run into somebody by accident and be like, oh, hey, you are cute.
Make eye contact.
Talk to you.
Make eye contact and smile at them a lot.
Yeah.
We did this a lot in the last 2 podcasts. Would you like to finish the camping story?
Oh, yeah. I did get feedback on that we had to go off on tangents. We didn't
even finish most of our stories.
No, we didn't. It's fine. If there's any stories you guys want us to finish, though, in the future, please feel free to send us some comments.
Yeah, tweet us.
Yeah.
At Twitter us.
Twitter us? Tweet us.
DBBL_
Do the little birdie thing.
Podcast.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who monitors that, so feel free. Also, if there's a topic that you want us to randomly, drunkenly speak about, send it to there. Go ahead and finish camping.
Okay, so camping. So here's the thing in Ohio. You're allowed to book sites 6 months in advance. All right? So, and it's not like 6 months is like a normal, like it's not the first Wednesday or whatever. It's like the day. So I'm really curious about what happens at the end of February when there's like no days. Because like if you want to book August 31st, you can't, like, there's no February 31st. So I don't know how that happens. But like, so you have to, so like if you want to book on July 1st, then you have to do January 1st.
Also, is there a price? What was that? What's that thing? Price? The thing where you can get hotels cheaply.
Oh, there's like a Golden Buckeye program thing.
Oh, sweet. I'm almost qualified for that.
Dude, sign up for it. Because here's the thing. Campsites, they're like $30, half price.
I was joking with my partner that I'm 48. I can't do the math, but I was 7 years away. I was like, I'm 7 years away from like an AARP account, which means you get lots. And he was like, no, it's 50 now. I'm like, fuck off.
Discounts.
But also fuck off.
I mean, here's the thing, like my goal in life, and I know I'm still in my 30s, but like I want to live in one of those communities where I get to drive a golf cart around and like it's got aerobics classes in the morning in the pool and there's like shuffleboard and they have euchre nights and like they have scheduled activities and like you're in your own little community, but they're all like 55 and older places. So like I can't live in one for at least another 20 years and it's real upsetting.
Yeah, my partner's going to get all of those benefits when this happens for me because, yeah, he's younger and he's my retirement plan.
Yeah.
But anyway, camping, scheduling 6 months.
So you have to book 6 months out. And Ohio, they open up like the sites for the next day at 7 o'clock in the morning. So it's not like a midnight thing. Like it's 7 a.m. they release. So there's this one site at this one campground in Ohio that I really wanted to book because when I was younger, my grandparents used to go to this place all the time to camp. It's Mohican State Park.
Oh, I was going to say, was it Long's Retreat?
No, it's Mohican. And I don't even know if it's there anymore, but I remember like it was called Wally World across the street or something. And there was like putt-putt and stuff. And I'm sure it was all magical because I was a child.
Oh, is that like down where, sorry for people that aren't from Ohio, was Wally World. Was that like down near... the amusement park that was not Kings Island.
Oh, Coney Island.
No.
Oh, no.
Americana.
Americana, yes. No, that was not.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I thought it was the one that was adjacent to that.
Well,
My bad.
So this is the thing. So Mohican is in northeastern kind of Amish country, Ohio.
Oh, gotcha.
But so my grandparents used to camp there all the time when we were younger. And so now that we've been camping a lot more, and I'm like, I really want to go up to Mohican. And I found like along the river, like it's right on the river. And they have campsites where you back in and like you're right on the river. And they have like tubing and stuff you can do. It looks real fun.
That's awesome.
But there's only like 2 sites that are along the river that are full hookups. Right. So I have the site that I want because one of them has a tree. So you couldn't put the slides out on the thing. So I'm like, I have the site I want. So I've been waking up at 6:45, 6:50, setting my alarm purposefully so I can wake up and book this goddamn site. But the problem is that you're allowed to book for 14 days. So what people do is we'll book for 14 days whenever they get a chance. And then after 90 days, you can cancel part of your vacation or whatever. So then people will cancel the days that they didn't actually want.
Those people are assholes.
They're really sucky. But now I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, the next day that comes available. All right, if I book that and do like the at least 12 days, then I'll be able to get one of the weekend. And it's like becomes this competitive thing. But I have 3 times now woken up at 7 a.m. when the page refreshes, hit the button to do it. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, somebody else is booking this site. And I'm like, God, I can't. Like, it's just so, like, I'm not a morning person. And I'm setting an alarm to wake up and do this. And I'm looking at the rest of my family. And they're like, well, wherever you book's fine. And I'm like, I've booked 3 vacations, camping trips. I booked 3 camping trips so far this summer, and they're all like, okay, great, that's awesome. But it's like, it's my job to do it.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's a lot of pressure, and I'm not sure that I would do that. I would only go fifth wheel camping.
Yeah.
I've done the in a tent camping when I was younger.
Yeah.
I did it with Girl Scouts and the YMCA.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have like the one night stay over. My mom bought me a pup tent specifically for the YMCA day camp that had the one night stay over. And I hated it. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to stay there. But she felt it was good for me to, I don't know, cut some apron strings or whatever. I was such a girl to my parents. I just liked to be with them when I was younger, and then I was an asshole as a teenager. But so she bought me a pup tent, and from that day on, I do not like the experience of waking up in a sleeping bag feeling damp.
Yeah.
Like I don't care when you actually go camping, you wake up damp.
Yeah, the dew, especially in the morning if it's
I don't like it. Don't like it at all. But I love, Mom and Dad did have a fifth wheel. They had 2, I think. So like I know about the gooseneck hitch.
Oh, yeah.
In the, Dad had a dually. So I really liked that.
Yeah.
I only got to drive it one time. I suck at driving it. So I just parked it really far away.
I'm terrified to drive. Like I've driven my dad's truck before, and he doesn't have a dually, but it's a big old truck. And I'm like, I've driven it, don't like it, and I can't even imagine driving it with the fifth wheel attached to it.
Oh, hell no.
No.
I don't want to drive anything with anything else attached to it, like not a U-Haul. I I used to live in Panama City, and Panama City, Florida, not Panama City, Panama. That'd been a whole different experience, and I don't think you can drive back from there. But when I lived in Panama City, my dad was a truck driver. My dad worked for UPS, and then he became what they call a feeder driver for UPS. So they drive the semis, those big semis you see. That's a feeder driver. They work round the clock. Good for them. I think Amazon keeps them in business. But and then he would drive doubles.
Yeah.
So it's 2 trailers hooked together. He had lots of interesting stories. I wish he was still here with us to come on. I would have loved to have him come on. We'll tell Dad stories later. Yeah. But when we were driving from Panama City back to Ohio, there comes a point that you must leave Florida if you live in Ohio. So we were going back with all of my stuff, and my mom and I were in one vehicle, and my dad was driving another vehicle with a U-Haul trailer behind it, like whatever the biggest trailer is that they can put. I had a lot of shit to bring back from Florida, and there was some guy as we were passing Cincinnati that was on his phone, and he kept drifting into my dad's lane. So my dad, being a tractor trailer driver, knew how to maneuver it. Mm-hmm. I would have never been able to do this, and I look over in the right side of me when he's in the middle lane, and he is swinging the trailer toward this guy. So he passed him enough to where the trailer was side by side with him. The guy's on the phone swerving in lanes. My dad starts swinging the trailer out toward him. Not enough to hit him, just enough to be like, you should be afraid of me.
Yeah.
The guy looks terrified. But he also is like trying to flip my dad off, but my dad is clearly in front of him in the vehicle. So it was just funny to watch the guy panic and then move into the far right lane to get as far the fuck away from my dad as possible. And I was like, there are some skills to learning how to drive.
Oh, yeah.
Something with something attached to it. Yeah. I don't have those skills.
I have no, like, watching him back this fifth wheel into campsites and things like that. I'm like, in my brain, like, I'm watching him do it, and like the smart part of my brain looks at it and goes, yeah, because he's turning the wheels this way, it's going to push this way, and da-da-da.
But it's opposite.
It's also opposite. The opposite. And so there's also another part of my brain that's going, he's turning the wrong way, but it's going the right way, and I don't understand how this works. Like, it's amazing to me, like, just being people that can drive those things. And especially, so on the side of the fifth wheel, he was going across the Ohio River to Kentucky, and he was on the bridge, and there was a semi next to him, and the semi caught a gust of wind.
Ooh.
And the top of the trailer of the semi, like, swung over enough that it hit the side of the fifth wheel.
Yeah.
But, like, his tires and everything are still in his own, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they just kind of, like, tapped together up top like they were clapping hands.
Or like they were touching their pee-pees together.
Yeah, they were just, like, having a little touch there. But so then and it was on the sign where the awning is rolled up. So now, like, on the awning, there's, like, a scrape, and, like, there's a couple of holes from where the semi, like, reached over and, like,
That's
gave him
history.
a nice little tap.
Well, it stops your awning from, like, flapping around when you extend it. The wind just moves
It's got a nice little, like, breezy hole.
No, for those of you that are not in Ohio, go look at the wonderful bridge that we have from and to Kentucky, because it is terrifying to be on.
Oh. Hey, everybody. During the month of February, we're sponsoring a progressive trivia tournament at Star City Brewing Company in Miamisburg, Ohio. You can go on down to the bar to play, or you can play online, however you want to do it. However, you do get bonus points if you're in the bar while you're doing it. It's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. during the whole month of February. They have 4 rounds of trivia, and winners each round get a prize. At the end of the month, it is a progressive tournament, so your points will accumulate, and at the end, the first, second, and third place teams will win gift cards. Now, these are gift cards that are used at Miamisburg, Ohio businesses. So if you're not local, you can still go online and play, but you might not want the prize for the progressive tournament. But still go on and play, because, you know, it's a good time. If you want to join in the fun on Tuesday nights, just go to one of our social media sites, and we will link to the site to go online, and you can play online. Woo! Nice. I like it.
So I went to the Keys when I was very young. I think I was just 21, and a girlfriend and I went to the Florida Keys, and I was not familiar with much. And by the way, don't try any of this at home or in your car. I'm about to discuss some things that you should not do. And yes, I got away with it and lived to tell about it, but please don't do this. So we went to the girl's grandparents lived in, like, one of the northern Keys. That sounds weird to say, but like not Key West, further away from Key West, closer to Florida.
Yeah.
So right after you pass Homestead, it was after Homestead had been erased by, Homestead and the Keys had been basically erased by Andrew. And we went down there to visit, went down there to party. They gave us a camping trailer outside of their house. And then we were just traveling to different keys. We were having a good time. We were at Isla Morada. That, I don't know what it's like now. That was forever ago. But then we decided to go to Key West, and there's the 7 Mile Bridge. So if you don't know about the 7 Mile Bridge, off of the new 7 Mile Bridge, you can see the old 7 Mile Bridge. And if you've ever seen True Lies, it's where they did the like limousine falling off the bridge into the water thing, and Jamie Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger are fine, whatever. Spoiler alert, my bad. So
I mean, if you haven't seen it by now.
Right. But there are also, so when you're going on the new 7 Mile Bridge, one, it's 7 miles, maybe longer.
Yeah.
And any of the bridges are carrying water pipelines to like the other key. So from the main island, from key to key to key, there's nothing but goddamn bridges in the keys. This being the longest. And so we're driving and sober, driving toward Key West. Fine. Drunk as fuck, driving back from Key West, not fine. There are no emergency lanes. So you just have to make it 7 miles, drunk as fuck, 2 lanes, no emergency lane. There's no room for error.
Right.
And I was just thinking to myself, I was fine when we first did it. So in my 20s, I was that person that you would be like, I want Mindy to drive because
she seems fine.
Right. Like the Family Guy thing. I am the least drunk of all the people here. And I'm good. That's not a good talent to have.
No.
Don't do that. Don't drive drunk. We're drinking responsibly. We have
designated drivers waiting out at the bar for us.
We do. So yeah, it was a very bad idea. However, I lived. But as soon as we got across the bridge, there's a tourist, go pull over here and take pictures. I pulled off there because I wanted to piss my pants, not because I had drank too much. That happened too. But oh my God, I was like 7 miles driving with one eye closed. So my talent was putting my left hand over my left eye and just driving monovision down the damn bridge. We agree that this is bad, but let me just tell you, that was in 1993 and it was a different time then. So, yeah.
Plus you were in your 20s.
I was in my 20s. You're just stupid in general.
Yeah, we're all stupid in our 20s. No offense to the 20-year-olds, but just so you know, once you're in your 30s and 40s, you'll realize that you weren't the brightest.
So speaking of drinking, we are here at Star City Brewing Company in gorgeous Miamisburg, Ohio, the Star City. Mm-hmm. The opinions and the thoughts from either of us do not reflect those of the either the ownership or Star City Brewing Company.
Yes. The establishment does not know what we're saying right now, and they don't agree with us or disagree with us. They have no opinions.
They have no opinions. They do let us drink in the back room while we record this. And Brandy is having an Imperial Twisted Mill Coffee Stout. So Miamisburg brews on site. Mm-hmm. They have their own master brewer.
Yep. They are a brewery, a winery, and
a meadery. They're a meadery. You can get mead. I'm not drinking mead because I do not want to. If I were drinking mead during this podcast, it would have fallen over by now.
If there's a change in the level of my voice from the first podcast we did to this one, which hopefully there is, it's probably because I was drinking mead the first podcast that we did. And then I stuck with the beer the second.
Oddly enough, I don't remember that.
Yeah. I was doing what they like to call Queen's Tea, which is, I learned this at Renfest, which we talked about in a previous episode that I attended. Queen's Tea is fabulous. It is a glass of mead mixed with some hard cider. And
it's wonderful.
Delicious.
And all of this is brewed on site.
Yes.
So Brandy is mixing two things. She started out with the Mounds RTG. That is named after the Mounds, which is where they did. What the hell did they do?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not a Miamisburg native, so I don't know a ton about it. But the Mound here in Miamisburg, Ohio, they created a lot of. All I know is there's super fabulous batteries and reactors, and somebody's going to yell at me about this because I should know more about this, but they had they created the power cells that fueled the Cassini
something
satellite.
Oh, the satellite?
The satellite, Cassini satellite that got crashed into Saturn.
Okay, look, we're not smart about this. So just, you know what? Wikipedia can tell you a lot of shit. Just look up the mound of Miamisburg.
A lot of space stuff, and it's great.
So in case you didn't know, Dayton, Ohio, has Wright Pat Air Force Base, and they also have some museum. Oh, the Air Force Museum.
It's the National Museum of the United States Air Force.
There you go. So if you want to come here and I've got a story about that. If you want to come here and you know about it, that's awesome. That's basically that's not the only thing to do here, but it's close to the only thing to do here. Unless you like going to taverns and breweries, and then we specialize in that in the Dayton, Ohio area.
Miamisburg's great for that.
Yeah. So you're drinking the Mounds RTG. You were also drinking the Imperial Twisted Mill Coffee Stout.
I like them individually, and then I like to mix them together, because what goes better with a high octane beer than another high octane beer? And you can just mix them together and they taste great.
These are 8%.
Oh, one's 9.1.
All right.
I don't remember what the other one is.
A lot.
I
have been, so I pre-gamed because you probably pre-gamed too, because you were here before me and you had a meeting.
I did have a couple of beers before you got here.
Yeah. So, because I have to catch up with Brandy, I pre-game. And so I had, Diet Dr. Pepper and 2 shots of Four Roses small batch, in it. Because I do drink liquor by itself, but it goes down better and I can drink it faster with Diet Dr. Pepper, and carbonation delivers alcohol to your system 20% faster, which is something drunk people know.
Did not know that.
Yeah. And then when I got here, I got the Blue Talon. Star City Brewing Company has the first hard seltzer in Ohio, Dayton area. Well, let's call it the Dayton area.
I think Dayton area. I'm not sure about Ohio. It might be.
We have a shit ton of breweries in the Dayton area.
We
so
do.
If you want to come take a tour, that's awesome. If you're going to be here for a weekend, we have a pass. There's a passport that you can fill out, and it will take your ass all over the Miami Valley area.
Oh, it is a 30-mile radius, and if I'm doing math right, that means diameter is 60 miles.
Yeah.
So it's a big old space of and I want to say there's 10, 20, 22 breweries on the passport.
I feel like that, and that's not even all the breweries.
No.
So Blue Talon was the first hard seltzer in Dayton, Ohio. There are 48 flavors and endless possibilities, so you can mix as many as you want. You can even play a dealer's choice where you roll this little tumbler.
They have roulette game where you get to, it's like a bingo tumbler, and then the little balls come out, and they each have a different flavor on it, so you can that's my favorite.
Balls mostly don't have their own flavor, but for this, they do.
Yeah. They're delicious.
And I had to get a Building 26 because I needed some higher octane. I don't know if the Building 26 is not an IPA. That's the only thing I can tell you because I don't drink IPAs.
I believe the Building 26 is a beer de garde.
Awesome. And we learned German words here.
Yeah, that's the only reason I think somebody's going to yell at me if I got it wrong, but I love saying beer de garde. I don't know why. It just sounds fancy.
I don't know. I feel like the proprietor is just going to tweet us.
Oh, he's going to be like, you guys screwed up all of the beer names.
Right. And if you're listening to this and you make and or serve beer at your location, we are always free to come record at your location.
We love to travel.
We do love to travel with our sober companions. So bad. When I told people that we were doing this, they were like, how much do you drink? And I was like, honestly, probably only when I come here.
Yeah.
And it was either for we love Cards Against Humanity. I host with a partner Cards Against Humanity once a month here, and then that's about all I drink.
Yeah,
and then we record here, and I get drunk.
I mean, I can't say the same, but also I feel like this is the only time that I have a goal in mind to get drunk.
Right. This is the whole point of the podcast.
I'm a big wine fan, so I'm a very big advocate of I like having a glass of red wine with dinner and stuff. So
shit, no.
I won't drink a lot, but I'll have a glass of wine with dinner and then I'm good. I'm not one of those people that once I start having drinks, I have to drink all night. But.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people either until I'm in a mindset where I don't want the fun to end. But I've been that person since I was in my early 20s. So if any of my friends, because let's be honest, our friends and family are the people who are listening to this most right now.
Probably.
except for some folks in India and Finland. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi.
We appreciate it. Didn't expect that to happen.
Love overseas folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in my 20s, I'm not really sure where that was going. That's what happens when you're drunk.
You just went balls to the wall on the drinking all the time.
All the time. So that was my intent, and that was my goal. The first time I ever had tequila, I don't remember getting to my house. But I do remember that a friend of mine stood behind me, holding me up so that I could lean back from the key slot and open the door. And then he shoved me in the front door and shut it behind me, which led to me just being face first in the foyer. And my parents weren't home, so I just had to lay there until I woke up the next morning.
Nice.
Yeah. But thankfully, I don't do that anymore. It's like once a year. I know where I was going with that. I don't want the fun to stop.
Yeah.
So my friends know that I don't want the fun to stop. But since my early 20s, when the fun stops, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I reach a threshold where I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. Doesn't matter whether I'm drinking or not. At some point, the novelty of whatever we're doing or the fun has worn off, and you've got a 5-minute warning to get your ass in the car. Otherwise, you should probably find another way home, which was really hard to do in the 90s because cabs don't go to the small town that I lived in, and Uber didn't exist. So good luck.
I mean, let's be honest. Uber is one of the best and worst creations, I feel like. Because it solves all of those problems where it's like, oh, you always have a ride home. It's like in an instant you go on your phone and boom, there's a ride. But also it has that whole element of I'm getting into a car with a stranger I don't know and they're going to drive me home. Hopefully.
Right.
Please, fingers crossed. Like it goes against everything you were taught as a child. Like don't talk to strangers. And now I'm like willingly getting into a car with one.
Right.
And being
you
like,
called them to you.
I called them, told them to come pick me up. I mean, talk about like any kind of, like if you're a serial killer, you want to be an Uber driver.
Right. I've not even given my partner the password to my account.
Yeah.
Like I send Ubers for him to bring him places, but I don't, haven't given him the password. But I guess if I gave him the password, he would know where the hell I was when I disappeared because I'm not that person who's like, I'm going to text you the license plate. I'm just not that bright. If I'm calling Uber, I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking at that level. But the fact that we have Uber here in our very tiny town, number one, this is the kind of town that if you came here, you might be horrified at the level of drinking that happens.
Oh, yeah.
But it's, maybe, but we have so many places to go. It's very condensed area.
And I feel like they all stagger their closing times too, because like there's the bars and restaurants and things that like don't want to be the drinking place, but they definitely serve hefty alcohol. So it's like those are the places you go to earlier, and then there's the other places that stay open later that are like these are the after hours places.
Oh, here's the best part. So there are very few things that are great about coronavirus. Dead people, not good. 400,000 people. At this point, when we recorded, not good.
Right.
My mom kind of hides out in the house, except for going to the food pantry to help. But it's not good. The only good thing that has happened here in Ohio, because our governor is, whether you like him or not, he's being very proactive and not as bad as he could be.
Right.
For all the crap people say about him. But the best thing he ever did, and then he made it bigger, was that he agreed to allow 2 alcoholic beverages per carry-out order. So that means, or actually per entree or per carry-out order. So if you order 2 entrees from a restaurant, you can get 4 alcoholic beverages to go with it.
Fantastic.
And I thank God for DoorDash and or curbside pickup. I hope that never goes away.
Oh, DoorDash is like my new favorite thing.
But then I think he extended it to 3.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think it got extended to 3. Somebody check that. I might be wrong, but we haven't taken advantage of it because I send my partner down here to get growlers and howlers of stuff.
Yeah.
Because this is my primary source of alcohol. Just because I don't want to go to a liquor store. It's very confusing and overwhelming, and there's too many bottles of everything.
Oh, there's so many bottles.
I know. That's the best thing about Ohio. I don't know what you're doing in other states, but we got to do this, and they're I think he signed it into permanent law. So like, even if we get to open Ohio back up,
You can still get takeout drinks.
yeah, you can still get takeout drinks. And
Fantastic.
this was the first year, although odd timing, poor timing. It was already planned. We have a bar and restaurant district in Dayton, Ohio, and they started like between Friday at 5 p.m. and Sunday at closing time. They block it off to traffic, and you can just walk around drunk in what's called the Oregon District. Look it up. It's amazing.
Yeah, they have. So I know they did. A handful of outdoor spaces in Ohio were approved to be like outside, and they had to have certain regulations and restrictions and things like that, where they're like not enclosed spaces, but like tight quarters where it's like there are clearly marked places where you are allowed to carry, like open carry outside in between different bars and things like that. I know Middletown, which is just south of us, has one too outside. But yeah, I feel like they all got approved and started opening like, I don't know, legit a handful of months before a shutdown happened. And
yeah, I feel like Ohio is on par with Wisconsin when it comes to like the Green Bay area. I had some friends that like lived in Green Bay, and I feel like we're on par with that. It makes me feel very warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of shit to do in some areas of Ohio, so becoming a beer connoisseur or a brewery connoisseur is just out there and open to you.
Yeah, that's true. The whole Dayton area is lots of breweries.
Yeah.
Lots of breweries.
I've been happy about the arcades have become a thing. So my favorite place to go in Dayton to listen to live music actually became an arcade bar.
Oh, nice.
And they do sanitize things. We went to one of the ones in downtown, and they've got wipes everywhere. And we were being vigilant about it, like wiping things down before we got on the game, wiping things down after we got off the game, just in case. You never know.
Right.
But they have so many attractive alcohols for us to try, so it was exciting. Nice. I'm not a video game person. I suck.
I love video games.
See, that's a generational divide.
So it was it's funny because when I was younger, my sister was and I'm talking like young. My sister was the one who loved video games, and like we got a Super Nintendo. Actually, we had a regular Nintendo. Actually, all right, this is going to age me. So we had, before Nintendo came out, we had, it was it looked like a keyboard with a joystick on it that you would attach to your TV.
Oh, I know what you're talking.
Yeah. And so it had like some games on it, like, Pong and whatever. And then we had like the little Atari joystick that just hooked up to the TV. And then we moved on and got the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. But my sister was older, and so she was always the one that started using it. And, and we got to Super Nintendo, and she always used it more. But I think it was because she was always on it, and she wouldn't let me play. And it was like, if we did play like a 2-person game, I was always Luigi, and I hated Luigi. And so I hated video games until finally, like, I got to start playing video games. And I think the first video game I actually really started enjoying was Mario Party.
Which was on I'm going to take your word for it, because Intellivision was my first and last video game system.
Okay. So the GameCube, you had Mario Party, which when I say video game, it was basically a board game with video game characters.
Okay.
So it was like Mario and Luigi and all of them, but it was like a board game that you played as a video game.
Okay.
So that was the first one I loved. And then somehow that morphed into like, oh God, I can't think of the initials. I play World of Warcraft now and stuff like online.
Right.
And Among Us. I'm super obsessed with Among Us lately. But like those they're RPG games, something like that.
I saw you like put out the SOS for like who wants to join us for Among Us, because I think you have to have 5 players for it to happen.
So yeah, and we joined in a public group. So I had a couple of people that joined me, and like we all signed up in the same game, and then we played public and stuff. But yeah.
So I know that when we started the quarantine, which seems to be a very long time ago, but we're coming up on almost a year. I remember when it happened, like February 15th, they were like, this is going to happen. No, March 15th, they were like, this is going to happen. And then March 17th, we were here at our recording location, and then the world ended.
Yeah. Well,
and we still suck at this as a collective in Ohio. We kind of still suck at this.
Oh no, and I feel like it's one of those things where I feel like we've gone through waves and now we have more waves, much like the pandemic has gone through
I don't
waves.
believe there was going to be a 1 and a 2 wave. Like we have been up and down. We never flattened the curve.
Yeah.
Ohio has struggled, although we're off of the fucking watch list where if you've been here, you have to get tested and
which
quarantined.
that's nice. But also we kind of, and I feel like, so this is partially our fault and partially their fault. I feel like there were some government entities that maybe just said some things because they knew that people in general as a mob sometimes don't make the wisest decisions or like to go along with things.
Right.
So they like said some stuff to try and get us to do one thing because it was like, oh, hey, everybody's buying up all the toilet paper. We can't tell these people that they're going to be locked down for a couple of months. Otherwise, they're going to go and buy all of the bread, the water, the milk, and nobody will have any supplies for anything.
Okay, just so you guys know, in Ohio, we buy bread, milk, and eggs at every emergency.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that happens in your state, but we call it the French toast alert.
Oh my God, there's some snow in the forecast. Oh, you cannot go to the grocery store and find any of that stuff because it's just, it's the first things to go.
Right. No, I get where you're going.
But so I feel like they did that, which they didn't want people going out and buying a crap ton of masks and gloves and everything else because they wanted there to be enough supplies for healthcare workers and everything else.
Right.
So they originally were like, don't wear masks. And so then when they turned around, we're like, okay, now we need y'all to wear masks. And everybody's like up in an uproar. It's like, okay, guys, like I understand why you did what you did. But by doing it that way, now everybody's like, but you told me I didn't need one and now I need one and now.
Right. But I don't understand. Maybe it's because I come from a software background and a healthcare background that I just don't understand how you don't understand that we are learning as we go.
Right.
Because when it comes to anything, so like if I decide to take up knitting.
Right.
And I know purl 1, chain 2, whatever the hell it is, there's always something else to learn. There's something I don't know.
Right.
That's going to make it novel to me. So there's something out there to learn. Anything that you approach that's the first thing.
Well, first of all, we need to back that up because I feel like there are a ton of people that don't know what the word novel means. So calling it the novel coronavirus, they just thought that it was like a book.
Yeah, so we're not gonna. This is not the point in the podcast that we get into like things that are vastly serious, but that'll come. We'll have some drunk expansions on what that is. Yeah. But in our state, we live in the only county that was blue, which is surprising because now I grew up in an adjacent county. Didn't surprise me at all. Like it surprised me when somebody told us that we had a KKK faction in the city that I grew up in. Not city, village that I grew up in. Yeah. Which I guess is to be expected if it's a village. Yeah. I don't know.
So I learned something new this year because I didn't know what this term meant, and that's a lack of me having knowledge or whatever else. But I attended one of the BLM marches. They had one actually in Miamisburg. And it was very peaceful. It was a group of people that came together. They listened to a couple people speak. They walked around 2 blocks, downtown, and we came back to the park, and, there was some prayer. There was some other things, and it was very peaceful. Everybody went home. No problems, anything. But I learned during that Miamisburg is a sundown town.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Like, I didn't know what that meant, and I had to look it up.
There, where my grandparents lived, was also that in, Oakwood, which is part of Dayton, Ohio, not the one in Cleveland, although I'm guessing the one in Cleveland also. Yeah. So sundown town.
Yeah, which is basically, it's like one of the last strongholds of like the KKK.
Right.
Where it was very apparent that if you were a person of color, you were not welcome in this town.
Yeah. So you get pulled over. I only had that happen in where my grandparents, where I grew up. One time, I am not a person of color. However, I was driving a vehicle that should not have been in the area. You know what Oakwood is. So Oakwood for us is kind of upper echelon.
You're much nicer.
Yeah, I am. It's a very upper echelon. And when I say that, keep in mind that my grandparents bought a house it was before it was a big deal. And they also bought a house on the outskirts. So like their side of the street is Oakwood and the other side of the street is Dayton and UD. University of Dayton. So they're a very tiny divide. And my grandfather...
And by the way, they call it this. This is not me saying this. The University of Dayton calls their off-campus housing the ghetto.
Yeah,
That
I
is
feel like that's
literally its
as
nickname.
white privilege as that.
Yeah.
It's probably not the most white privilege that university is, but it's borderline.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I was growing up there, I didn't realize that. But yeah, my grandparents lived on the outskirts of the city, and my grandfather ran a gas station in the city. And we may have mentioned this before. I definitely grew up with grandparents who had a specific bias. And they were racist.
I feel like a lot of us did.
They weren't just racist; they were also anti-Semitic, and that's what my grandfather referred to the people who owned the gas station in very unfavorable terms. But luckily, I somehow was like, I don't think that's right. I'm very confused by, like, none of us look differently. Like, there are different shades of, skin tone, but my God, aren't we all the same? But not the same experiences. That's what we're learning from this. So we're white.
Yeah.
We're
still learning.
Yeah. I've done my ancestry DNA, and I just come from people where white people are. And somebody said, but you have Cameroon in your, and I was like, yeah, that's where white people went and colonized.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm from where white people are.
I've got a lot of white people. I've got some English, some French, a lot of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania Dutch or something.
Dutch German.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really favorable on the Amish either, because I do dog rescue, and I'm like,
It's real funny because, like, I have grandparents that were born and raised in Hungary. Like, my great grandparents were absolutely born and raised in Hungary. My grandma was born in Hungary, and then they came over.
Yeah.
So I did the ancestry DNA, and, like, Hungary was, like, grouped into the other European countries that are less than 2%. And I was like, how does that work? Cause, like, they all came from there. Like,
right.
They're born there, raised there, live there. Like, so clearly, like, ancestors behind them came from other places. But
yeah.
like, I don't
understand how it works. Yeah. My, one of my uncles did our family line on one side. Clearly you have two sides, and he did one side. So we were always told that we were, like, American Indian. That's a very American thing. Like, to claim, I don't care what kind of Confederate flag, truck driving, mud flap having, yeehaw motherfucker that you are. You're like, I'm part American Indian. No, you're probably not. No. So the family legend, dead in the water. And my uncle also saw, like, he found the cabin boy, and I shit you not, he was a cabin boy who worked his way over on a ship as a cabin boy to get here. That's where we come from. That was sometime in the 1600s.
Wow.
On my other side of the family, I asked my grandmother one time, like, where did your parents come from? And she said, North Carolina and Tennessee. And I was like, but what about before then? And she said, I don't know. And I was like, you didn't spring up from the dirt. Like, you all didn't talk about this. Turns out we damn near did just spring up from the dirt. Like, I don't know. I've gone back because ancestry.com is a great thing. And so you get to link your tree to other people who have done the work that you don't want to do. And on that side of the family, sure as shit, we have been here for a very long time. We might as well have sprung up from the North Carolina and Tennessee dirt.
Yeah.
I don't know where they came from before then, and I'm too lazy to do the work.
Oh, no. I have an uncle who's super into doing all the ancestry trees and everything. And when I think it was my dad got me the DNA test because I put it on my wish list for Christmas.
Right.
So he did last year. And so I did the whole thing. And then I got to connect to his tree and everything else. And there was one holiday we all got together, and my uncle was, like, walking us through, like, all of the generations of things he
giving
found.
you a PowerPoint slide.
Kind of. I mean, we had, like, a whole computer presentation kind of thing, and he was walking us through everything. And, like, we even went around to the different graveyards, like, around our hometown, like, where we're from, and, like, saw graves of people and stuff, which was fine because I got to spend the days with my cousin and stuff like that, and I adore them. So, and everybody was from out of town, so it was like, all right, this is fine. But, like, he's describing some of these people, and they're like, oh, yeah, they used to own this town and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, how did we go from owning the town to, like...
No, literally none of that is in my lineage. From what I personally know, like from what we talk about as family outside of the whole, like, American Indigenous people, which we are not. Hey, you guys are going to hear us, like, use some, like, really old terminology, and I apologize. I try and correct it as much as I can, but And I don't want to use the, like, I was raised that way. I just have a hard time thinking drunk and like correcting myself, which is that's the whole thing that we were.
The more you drink, I feel like the more you fall into like learned behaviors.
Right.
And there are learned behaviors that we have that were like decades that we've tried to adjust, but sometimes you accidentally fall back into it.
Right. So outside of the legend that we had any indigenous people, and I think where that came from is I have a great, great, great grandmother that was married to somebody before she was married to my great, great, great grandfather. And their marriage is on the Cherokee registry.
Okay.
But that just means he was Cherokee and none of us were. And that's where the legend sprang from. So when I start looking at it, like, when I hear somebody with my own surname, my first question is, are you from this town in Tennessee? And they're like, I'm not, but my great grandfather was. And I'm like, oh, we're probably related because, I don't know, inbreeding, and it's a very tiny town in Tennessee. I'm not saying everybody in that town inbreeds, but I'm guessing my people did. And then when it comes to my mother's side of the family, they all came from this very specific area of Tennessee. They all came from this very specific part of Tennessee, except for my great grandfather who came from North Carolina in his lineage.
So he came to break up the bloodline?
Apparently. And then they raised their children in some holler that must have been contaminated because everybody died of cancer. I don't know what kind of genes I'm walking around with. I'm pretty sure drinking isn't helping that, but at least I quit smoking.
Hey, congrats.
I vape. That has nothing to do with any of this. So back to the whole point. We have been learning a lot this year.
This year. I've learned a lot, and I feel like the biggest lesson I've learned, which I feel like I did this before too, but it's definitely something that's been reinforced, is the best thing you can do is to just listen.
Yeah.
And sometimes not ask questions.
So the woman who did my tattoo, she said that she's in this group, and it made sense to me. And I was like, I'll take that to heart and change how I'm doing it, because I'm not asking people how they want me to ally. Same thing with like the LGBTQIA plus community.
No.
I'm not asking how people want me to ally. And I'm not asking the persons of color community how they want me to ally, because I know that is not their position to tell me how to quit being an asshole.
Right.
Nor is it their position to tell me how to like talk to other people who are being assholes. So it's just a huge, not a shift in consciousness, because I've always had that consciousness. I just want to be the person. So when the girl who was doing my tattoo was talking to me, she's part of a group, and they said, if it's not your experience, it's not your choice to comment on it, other than to be supportive and say, I hear you.
Right.
And I will do better because of what you've told me. It's not, I don't want to debate it. And I was talking to a girl online, because that's a productive use of your time, is to talk to somebody on Facebook. But it was the one productive conversation I've had in the past 365 days plus, where she adamantly insisted that she had no white privilege. And I was like, I feel like you're looking at this from a wrong point of view, because
if you're white, you have white privilege. That's ingrained.
And
that's a societal thing. It's not a personal thing.
Right. And she was like, well, I've dated people of color, so I don't feel like I am transgressing. And I was like, I almost guarantee you that you are, because you're asking these questions. And it's fine to ask questions. Just ask questions of people other than, because she said, why can't I ask my coworkers and my friends who are people of color what I can do to be better? I was like, because it's not their goddamn job to tell you what to do to be better. Do the research on your own. And she asked some very poignant questions, which I pointed her toward research and sources that came from people of color. And I was like, So I was pointing her towards that. She was like, but I don't understand what it means that we have privilege. And I was like, here's my example. When I was in my early 20s, a girlfriend of mine and we hung out. In Ohio, there's a thing called cruising. You probably had it in your city or state. If you came from a rural community, you most definitely had cruising, because there ain't shit to do but run up and down the main strip.
Oh, yeah. There's one main strip, and it takes you all of 10 minutes to get from one to the other.
And then you just move from parking lot to parking lot as cops run you off. Here's the thing. She got into an altercation with another female. There were probably 60 of us that were 19 to 25. Let's just say 19 to 25. In a parking lot, because that's the white trash thing to do, hanging out. And she gets into an altercation with this girl, and things are getting kind of heated. We're all gathering into kind of a crowd. I'm probably joining in on like the verbal altercation that is happening. Nothing physical is happening. And a car comes flying into the parking lot, and two people get out. It is a plainclothes, unmarked police car, plainclothes cops. They like flash their badges on their waistband. It was totally fucking just like what you see on TV, except for the fact that they were trying to break things up before things got started. But I told this girl, I was like, do you know what didn't happen? Nobody called for backup. There were 60 of us. I'm not exaggerating. There were 60 of us and nobody called for backup. I got into the face of the officer and was like, you need to tell me what you're doing with her. And I want to know why she's in the back of your car. Everything that you would do as a 19-year-old that is fucking wrong if you're white. I was in his face. I didn't end up face down on the pavement. I didn't end up face down on a car. He actually was almost being apologetic. Like, if you would just wait and let us work the situation out, I guarantee you that your friend will probably be just released and you guys just need to calm down.
Right.
I'm so sorry, but you guys need to calm down. And I was like, that is the epitome of it. I didn't realize in the middle of it that it was the epitome of it, but I've been pulled over for traffic tickets. God, when I joined the Air Force, I had to get an extra sheet of paper to fill out how many traffic tickets I had because they do that kind of background check. And I was like, I'm lucky that some of this shit just rolls off because I keep getting pulled over. I got pulled over one time for running a red light. I squeezed ketchup into my lap and told the guy that I had accidentally exploded a ketchup packet. That's why I missed the light, because I was looking down. My bad. And he apologized and let me go on my way.
So keep ketchup packets in the car.
I have benefited from it so very much. But I think this year, I'm 48 years old, and this is the first year that I have taken time outside of just confronting my friends and family that are espousing racist ideas. This is probably the first time that I thought about doing it in a wider sense.
Yeah.
And to stop trying to figure out what their experience was. And I also told that lady, I was like, can you imagine if every man that you met was trying to get you to explain your experience as a female and justify it?
Right.
I've been in more creepy situations than I care to count. And if you told me that it was just my imagination, which does happen, if you told me it was just my imagination, if you told me to justify it, if you told me anything, can you imagine doing that every day for your entire life from the time that you were born? There is a point that as a female that this starts happening, but it's not your entire life.
Oh, yeah.
You don't constantly have to take care of the feelings of other people.
Yeah.
And you...
I feel like I remember as a child specifically like that time when you go from being a little girl who can walk around in a skirt or a tank top or whatever without a bra on, well, hell, there's points in which when you're a little girl that you can walk around without a shirt on.
Oh shit, I did that for an extended period of time.
Yeah, because you're just a little girl and it's like, it's fine.
Right.
And then all of a sudden there's this like magical point in life where it's like you need to have this on. You need to have that on. That skirt's too short. You're showing off too much skin.
Right.
And it's like, it's never explained to you why until you get older. And then you realize, oh, it's because boys are looking at me differently now. And instead of teaching them to like, don't look at girls like they're like prey.
Sexual objects.
Yeah. Instead, it's like the girl, well, you need to cover yourself or you need to do this or you need to do that. And it's like a certain sense of propriety or whatever else. And it's like, that's such an old fashioned notion that's still ingrained in our society. And you're right. And that happens with people of color is like, there are some notions and things like that people are trying to learn and stuff. But for some reason they feel like, oh, well, I should be able to go and ask anybody like questions about their experiences and things like that. And it's like, sometimes those experiences aren't the greatest memories that they have and people don't want to relive them. And it's not their responsibility to educate you when you can educate yourself, especially in a day and age when we have Google and the internet and so many resources.
God, pay attention to what you're Googling. I have friends that post, they're not friends. Let's just say that we are in connection because to unfriend them would cause like a rift. And I've kind of in the past like month just gotten tired of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even fucking care. Like, I get that we're family, but I don't need to, like, we don't communicate in person. So I don't really need to be a part of this. I'd rather confront you in person And I feel like I did that with my grandparents to a certain extent, but I wasn't comfortable enough to do it all the time. And in all honesty, it was usually when my grandfather would make some comment about the Jews in Hollywood. And I'm like, Grandpa, Jesus was Jewish.
Yeah.
And it would piss him the fuck off. But now I also get to, if he were still with us, I'd be like, Grandpa, Jesus was black and Jewish. And so, I just don't feel like it's tiring.
Yeah.
It's tiring. Not only are our friends going through the experience, but to have to explain the experience to us, you should be able to witness what the experience is. And I realized that a shit ton of white people got up in arms when they took live PD off TV.
Yeah.
Even watching it, because we did watch it. I'm going to be honest about that. Just like I used to on Spike TV, if nothing else was happening, I would just turn on Cops and it would be in the background. But looking at it this year, I'm like, well, they do. I don't care if you're, there's a guy that I listen to on TikTok, which sometimes is a legitimate source of information if you're 18 and if the person you're listening to is smart. This guy that I listen to on TikTok is, he was a former police trainer. He was like a 20-year military veteran. If you want to know who he is, message us on Twitter and I'll tell you who he is. He talks about the fact that in the police community, it's probably not even so much as it is racism. But when you talk about an officer who is of color, it becomes classism.
Yeah.
And when he was mentioning that, it struck me differently because we always, I'm so tired of hearing people in my family that are like, well, that police officer was black. And I'm like, well, good for you, but that's not what it was about.
Yeah.
It's really not what it's about. And he probably joined the force. He probably joined the military and then he joined the force and he was conditioned that this is what you do.
Right.
And to explain to my family that the reason that there is more crime in black areas is because you assign 75% of your officers to patrol that.
Right.
And so if I have 100 crimes happening in a white community, a predominantly white community and a predominantly black community, and you put 75% of your cops in the black community, of course you're going to find more crime.
Right.
Because you are looking for it.
You're looking for it and you have more resources to actually go after it.
I've been drunk in a car and let go by a cop because I answered the question correctly and I know he could smell alcohol on my breath. I left a bar in Miamisburg, got pulled over for an illegal. I ran a light right there at 75 when you're going back towards 35. Yeah. So I ran a light and he pulled me over and he said, where did you come from? And I told him the bar that I came from. And he said, how much did you have to drink there? And even though I was drunk, I recognized a technicality. And I went, half a beer. A friend of mine and I split a beer. I didn't mention that I had probably split a bottle of tequila with her at a bar in downtown Dayton just an hour and a half ago. We were at a wedding reception. It was an open bar. And he was like, well, why did you run that red light? And I'm like, well, because the people that you let go are the people that I'm following and I don't know how to get back to my hometown. And he was like, my God, I'm so sorry. I was like, yeah, I'm also fucking hammered. Can't see shit. Don't drive drunk. 90s were a different time. As were the 70s where our parents were driving drunk. But I'm just frustrated with the whole thing. And I can't imagine how frustrated other people are.
Oh, no, I totally agree. I can't. And you can't put yourself in those positions because you've never been there. So it's really hard to...
Even talking about being a female, it's not the same thing.
No, it's not.
Although I do love when Dave Chappelle in one of his specials talked about not knowing what it was like to be a woman.
Yeah.
Until he was carrying $20,000 in a backpack on a subway. And he was like, oh my God, this is what it's like to be a woman. Everybody wants what you have and you're the only person, you have it.
Yeah.
And people are watching you. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's what it's like to have a vagina.
Yeah.
Is that you have to be, but it's just not the same thing.
Yeah.
I get frustrated with my white female friends. I'm like, it's not, we don't have as bad of an experience as our sisters who are of color.
Yeah.
Sorry, we weren't supposed to get into this, but
No, it's fine. Well, so I was going to say on the female thing, so it's nice when you get to have conversations with people So me and my dad politically don't meet eye to eye a lot of the time. But he regards me, he has a very high regard for me. And he thinks I'm very intelligent, which is fantastic because it's always nice when your parents, think that you're
like, you're not the idiot of the family.
Yeah. Yay. It's nice when your parents think you have a brain.
Think about when you're an only child.
Yeah.
My parents had to make a decision as to what was happening with me.
Is she smart? Is she not? We gotta figure that out. They're like,
there's the ADHD, and then there's our daughter. Yeah. And so we think that that's affecting this, but she's a smart girl, other than the fact that she can't remember what room she came from.
Well, so my dad likes to poke the bear. He's one of those people. And so he knows that sometimes I'll get passionate about politics or certain things. And so whenever we're out and we're having a beer or something together, he'll always ask me a question, or he'll just prompt me.
Right.
Because he likes to just hear me go off on him for a good 10 minutes. I don't know why. He likes women yelling at him or something. But
I know why you and Mom have stayed together for so long. You're a masochist.
I mean, he's been divorced twice, so.
Oh, well, yeah. There you go.
But so the funny part is that, but it's, okay, so it's it's funny to me sometimes, but also confusing. But then also there's times when you get the feeling that sometimes when you've spoken to them, you get through, even though he kind of makes a joke of it and he pokes me and stuff like that, I'll say things to him, and we've had many conversations about what it's like being a woman. And I educated him on the fact that he would unlock his car, right?
Right.
And he was like, I don't know why the back door never unlocks. And I was like, because you have to hit it twice. You have to hit the unlock button on your key thing twice. He was like, what? And I'm like, you hit it twice to unlock all the doors. You hit it once to unlock your driver's door.
I mean, there's a setting that you can go in and change if your car's that
But
smart.
I was like, it's a safety feature. And he goes, what do you mean? And I'm like, because as a female, if I'm going out to get in my car and there's somebody else around, I don't want to unlock all of my doors. I just want to unlock my door so that I can get in and leave without somebody being able to get into my car. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? He had no idea this was a thing. So I'm like, yeah, you hit it twice though, and you can unlock all your, how is this? I didn't know this was a thing that other people didn't know. This is common knowledge to me. And maybe that's just from being a female. And that's the things that you learn. But so this year for Christmas, I got so many things. My friend one got me what she calls a stabby stick. It's this long
Oh, the Kubaton. I have that.
Yeah. So it's a keychain that's it looks like a little. Okay, first of all, it looks a little bit.
It looks like a butt plug.
It looks like a butt plug, but it's long, skinny, and has little lumps on it. But basically, you can wrap your knuckles around it, and it's got a pointy end, not super sharp pointy, but
it's a pressure point weapon,
so that you can hurt some people if they come and attack you. My dad got me 2 different keychain alarms that one has is a multi one where it's got a flashlight on it, and then also it's got a pull thing on it. When you pull it, all of a sudden it starts this blaring noise to make people wear. And then he got me a second one that has a whole different noise when you pull it apart. So I have all of the things on my keychains now in case somebody attacks me. But it was one of those moments where I was like, okay, we don't get along politically, and clearly as a male, he has never had to deal with this stuff. So there are points at which we've had conversations where I have told him things and he actually listened, paid attention. And while maybe I don't need multiple alarm soundy things on my keychain, I have backups now on all my keychains. And he bought me things, and I was like, well, this is nice to have somebody actually listen to your experiences and then try and help a little bit.
Right. I'm so sorry for the hiccups, but it is a podcast where we're drinking. Damn it.
So she's hiccuping right now, and I've been trying to on the sly eat Cheetos the entire time we've been recording.
Oh my God. So I think we've abused the point that we do not know what it's like to have an experience of a person of color, but as a female,
yeah.
I mean, I get the female thing because I've been female, but there's a certain level of things. Identifying to my friends the microaggressions. God damn it. The microaggressions that they do. Identifying my own. I don't know how it's been for you this year. And sincerely, the things that have happened this year are not about us, but it's about being better.
Yeah.
And not hiccuping into the mic. not making the inflection when you're like, go girl or girl or what. Oh my God. I didn't realize that was such a horrible thing.
That one I hadn't heard, but I mean, I understand.
Trying to like have that inflection that you think is urban, and everybody uses urban as a keyword for like black. Stop doing that. It's been an opportunity to be better, but it is. I just want to stop it with, it's not an opportunity to tell your friends, people of color, how you've been better.
Right.
Don't be an asshole.
See, I have this magical power that when for some reason I go through this like giddy period when I drink, and then I hit this period where I'm like super sober even though I'm super drunk, and then I go over the edge. But right before I go over the edge, I'm very aware about that it's about to happen, and I will literally, and you've witnessed this, I will stand up in a room and go, I need to go home now because I need to stop drinking and this all needs to end.
I can't tell you how shitty last time that we recorded. If you listen to episode 2, just know that like an hour and a half of drinking happened after that. Oh. And we were I was like, I don't care how much you buy, just don't go over this dollar amount. And it wasn't exorbitant, but exorbitant, whatever. It wasn't that, but it was way too much for the room, and it was way too much for 6 people to try and do. And we left. Like my partner and I, my fiance and I left. We bailed. We were like, I'm like, we have shit to do, and I'm hammered. Yeah. And he doesn't want to deal with me hammered.
Yeah. No, so we've switched to, so anybody listening, we used to record on Sunday afternoons, and then we realized that
it was really bad for Monday.
Yeah. We were wasting an entire weekend day too, because like we'd get up and, you have breakfast, whatever else. And then we'd meet at a brewery in the afternoon, get shit faced. And then like the rest of your day is screwed. You're just done. You either keep drinking or you go home and pass out.
Right.
And then Monday morning's either really awful or you got like 15 hours of sleep because you went to bed and just passed out. And so nothing got accomplished. So we switched to doing this on Friday nights. So now we're recording on Friday nights after work so that we have
much
the whole weekend.
Smarter idea.
I think so. But now also when you have something to do on Saturday, it's like, all right, so we're getting drunk, but also like we're going to call it an early night because
because I go to the vet in the morning, take my damn dog, weigh her to make sure she's not still being a fat ass. All the while feeling judgmental because I am a fat ass.
Oh.
Bring her home and then go get my hair cut. And that all has to happen before 10:45.
Oh, bless your soul.
Tomorrow's going to suck.
I just have, I have to help move things tomorrow. Like a heavy refrigerator and some drywall. Which
you have to move drywall.
I have to move drywall. There's a garage we have to clean out. There's a house being sold. It's a whole process. The problem is that the person in this relationship that is the person that can like carry the heaviest stuff sprained his wrist a day ago. So he's currently wearing a brace.
I guarantee you he can still do something else with that wrist.
I'm clearly going to be hungover tomorrow. He has a sprained wrist, and we're going to have to go and clean out a garage.
I would love to offer to help you, but we aren't that kind of friends.
It's fine. It's all good. Like there are. When you hit a certain age, like you stop having those kind of friends because you're all old enough to realize, like, you can
hire
for
2
that
men in a truck.
Yeah, you either hire people or you just do that crap yourself. And the problem is that I am with someone that's like, if I can do it myself, why would I hire somebody?
Well, do it yourself. Don't expect me to join in. Get somebody.
Well, you can't move a refrigerator with one person, though.
I know. Get somebody else who shares your view on what do you call it? Frugalness.
Frugalness, yes. So
yeah, I hope this is not how every podcast is going to end with me having endless hiccups.
I mean, I feel like I'm going to record these hiccups and just see if I can like splatter them in throughout.
You should. Damn it, I am way less drunk than my hiccups lead me to be.
No, I'm usually the one that hiccups. This is why I'm super happy about this. I'm like,
I'm so happy that you're happy.
Not hiccup. I mean,
So I did have a question for you because we are at 2 different points in our lives.
Yeah.
But we're kind of at the same point. I have been for my entire life. Actually, I told my mother when I was 10, I've been intentionally childless for my entire life.
Yeah.
I do. God damn it. This is really taking away from the seriousness of the thing. But I've intentionally been childless. I've gone out of my way to not have a child. Not by abstinence, but I have been adamant about not
actively
having a child.
trying not to have a child.
I've been actively not trying, and I was very successful.
Yeah.
Recently, I removed the lower mommy parts, the southernmost mommy parts. I ripped out the baby cave.
Yeah.
I got rid of it, which has been awesome. I kept the hormone generating parts, so I don't go through menopause because it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
I had reasons to do it other than not wanting to have children. Ideally, I went into it at 40. When I met my fiance, I was 42.
Okay.
He was 31. That's questionable.
I was going to say, because he's the same age as me, I think, right? He's a little younger than me.
He was born in April of 84.
Oh, yeah. So he's about a year younger than me.
And I'm July of 72.
Yeah, I'm May of 83.
Yay me. So...
Hey, at least you don't have to be called a millennial.
There you go. We had a conversation. I'm Gen X. I'm just dating an elder millennial. So we had the conversation.
Right.
We actually had the conversation on the first night that I decided I was going to date him, which was not our first date night. We'll get into that later. But I was questioning him because I didn't want to pursue something with him if he was going to be 30 and wanted kids. That just seemed...
Yeah.
illogical, although I was like, damn, boy.
I mean, I feel like that's honest up front.
Right. So I went to a physician when he and I were together, and I was like, look, the birth control is not working out for me. I smoke. I smoke. I drink. I'm 42. I'm just a candidate for a blood clot.
Right.
Let's not do this. And they were like, condoms. And I was like, problems. And so I was like, give me a tubal ligation. And they said, how about an IUD? And I didn't really press back. So if you're a woman listening to this, just fucking push on them or move on and go with somebody else.
Seriously, don't. I had the IUD too, and it was not.
Oh, so the things I found out this past year. So I had a medical issue that required the baby cave removal.
Yeah.
And when I went to go see the doctor, she was like, first of all, your IUD is incorrect. You've never had children. It's the wrong IUD. And I was like, oh, so he's not blessed. He's just hitting something that's too long for my uterus.
Fantastic.
I'm not going to burst his bubble. We're just going to keep that in the back of our minds. But then I got resistance on wanting to take action on it. They kept telling me my insurance company would never approve it. And I'm like, you're not working hard enough to do it. And I dropped it for a year. And by the time I went to another physician to get a second opinion, I had double what was originally the issue had doubled in size, and now it was imminent that it comes out.
Yeah.
But prior to that, I was intentionally childless. I took on, and I'm going to ask you about your experience. I took on the goddamn judgment of people from the age of 22, 23. Like when you're in your late teens, it's irresponsible to ask you why you're not having children.
Right.
I also was not a serial monogamist, as you were. Oh, we're not going to go there. So let's just say that it's hard to walk into some restaurants and you pass somebody at the doorway and you're like, hey, what's up? And you just keep walking. You nod at each other and you keep walking. That's most of my life. Someplace between 20 and 35. I was intentionally childless before then. I took every measure that I could to not have children.
Right.
I like your children, not yours,
but other people's.
If you have a child, I probably like it for like 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And then it would cry, or I would just not relate to it. And people kept saying, like, you'll change your mind if it's yours. And I'm like, but what if I don't?
Right.
I was so indifferent to the idea of having children. What if I don't?
Right.
then you're stuck with it.
And then you have it for at least 18 years, if not longer.
If it won't get out of your house, what do you do?
Well, and that's my thing. So my mom has always been, she's an eternal parent. It's one of those things where it's like, and she's always told us, like, I've had friends, and I didn't realize this was not how everybody's parents treated them, because this is how I was raised, right? Like, it didn't matter how old I am, and I'm in my late 30s now. Like, it doesn't matter how old I am. My mom has made it very clear. She is my mother. She will always be my mother. I will always be her child, and it doesn't matter how old I am. She will always treat me like her child, which is just, you know, that's how I was raised.
Bananas. Me too.
But like, that's the thing. So when I meet other people that like, and not that I can't go out and like have fun with my mom or whatever else, but she's not my friend. She's my mom. And like, we have a friendly relationship and everything, but she's my mom. So like, she's going to want to take care of me at all costs. And that's what I was always taught growing up, is that that's our relationship and that's how it is. So like, when I meet other people that they're like, oh, well, once I turned 18 and I moved out of the house, like,
oh,
yes,
shit, I was 30.
Yeah. Like, that's my parents, but like I'm my own person and they respect that and blah, blah, blah. And they're not in my life. Like, my mom has a key to my house. Like, the first person that had a key to my house other than me was my mom. Like, and we're just a kind of family. Like, I have a key to my sister's house. I have a key to my mom's house. I have a key to my dad's house. Like, we all have keys to each other. Like, that's just how our family is. And so growing up like that, you don't realize that that's not how every family is.
Oh, I agree. So
Yeah.
not to that extent. I'm an only child, but I don't think I've given my mom a key to my house, but I have a key to her house.
Yeah.
I think that's in case she breaks a hip and...
Well, that's the thing. I'm like,
need
she's
to
like,
find her.
my home is always your home. Like, it's all like, you're always welcome.
Oh, we sold
to
my
be
childhood
home.
home, so that's probably...
Well, technically we did too. So like, her home now I've never actually lived in, but like, if I called her one day and was like, I need to come over and like hang out, she'd be like, yeah, fine, no. Like,
Do you have a room?
yeah, no.
No.
The grandkids have a room. This is where
You
I'm
can
getting.
sleep in a
They're-
twin bed that's like toddler size. with your
he
feet
has a
hanging.
full. It's
Oh,
fine.
okay,
Yeah, it's
that's
good.
nice.
Yeah. Actually, he has the same bed frame that I had when I was in high school. So technically, it feels like I'm in my high school bed. I go over there.
It's awesome.
So I mean, it feels kind of like, you know, my old room and stuff.
But
even
your
though-
sister has given up some grandchildren, right?
Yeah. So there are 2 grandchildren now. She had one in quarantine times. So I just recently got
In the
to see
time
him
of
and meet him.
quarantine.
Yeah, after like 3 months of
Shit.
I finally got to everybody was masked up and everything else, but I finally got to meet the baby.
So, but you're immune. So full transparency.
I've had the COVID.
She's had the COVID. Now she's relatively immune.
I did not have a good time with the COVID. I had one of the I didn't have to go to the hospital, so I wasn't.
I'm just
that
afraid
bad.
I'm going to shit the entire time.
So that was only an issue for a few days for me. Thankfully, there was never any vomiting, so it wasn't like a double thing that you had to go through. 'Cause
I'm not sure whether I'd rather have vomiting or shitting. I definitely don't want shitting.
well, I heard there were some people that had both at the same time, which I feel like would be a conundrum because my
I'm
sink,
not
my toilet, and
coordinated
my
enough for
bathtub are
that.
way far away from each other, and I feel like I don't know what I would do.
Mine are not that far away. I could probably just turn sideways and tuck in my legs.
I feel like I'd have to bring a bucket into the bathroom so I could vomit while I was sitting on the toilet.
Okay, but
sorry, this is too much information.
My bad. So you
there's
just got to
children.
meet your
So I got to meet my newest nephew. So I have 2 nephews. They're
it was the second one that happened.
Second one, yeah.
Fucking the new was worn off on that.
yeah. So the first one is 3 now, and the other one is 3 months. So they're about 3 years apart.
That's some responsible timing.
Yeah, it's nice. I also am childless and have maintained that since I was. So I always had this thing when I was in elementary school, middle school, high school. I'm not getting married and I'm not having children. So far, late 30s, I have accomplished both of those goals. But yes, throughout life, I had multiple people tell me, oh no, you're going to do that. Oh no, you're going to do that. Oh no, you're going to have kids. And I adore kids. Love kids.
Other people's kids.
Love other people's kids.
Because they
They're
go
fantastic.
away.
They go away when they start crying or whining or bitching or moaning or whatever else. They're like a money suck. And let's be honest, like my life, I have lived.
Can you imagine dragging a baby from Vegas?
Oh, right. Like
to Vegas, from Vegas. Thank God you didn't get pregnant in Vegas.
Well, I'm always one of those people where I've gone after careers and and jobs and things because it was something I was passionate about, not because they paid me well.
so like children, you were like, meh.
So like if I had a child to go along with that, I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like we're going to have to split a cheeseburger when you're like 3 months old.
Yeah. I didn't, that sounds so horrible. Send your hate mail to me. I'm fine. Send your hate mail to DBBL podcast
at gmail.com.
I'm not going to respond to it, but sure. So it's the commitment.
Yeah. It's a
which
lifelong
sounds weird
commitment.
because I'm getting married. Yeah. However, keep in mind, this is my third engagement.
Yeah.
And commitment's been difficult because my parents were together forever.
Right.
Like my parents were together before I was conceived, after I was conceived, through my entire childhood. My parents have always been together. Until my dad passed away, my parents were always together. I don't know marriage outside of them. I don't know anything. I don't know we have this different background, but I don't know any different, and I never wanted to be married. The fact that I'm getting married, weird.
Yeah.
Having children was never on that list.
Yeah.
0.
I never wanted them. I will say there have been a couple people I have dated throughout the course of 37 years that I considered it as an option if it was something they were very passionate about because we were together.
Because they would do it.
Right. Because they wanted to do it. And I was like, all right, I don't really want kids, but if it's something like I love this person and I want to be with this person, and if they really want kids, then it's something I'm open to doing because I feel like when you're in a relationship, there's a lot of compromises and things that happen. And, you know, you want to maintain your own identity and everything, but I think there's a certain point where it's like, all right, has to be conversations about things. And like, if kids is something somebody grows up and really wants and you really want to be with that person, then okay. But also they have to be super involved in the entire process. Like, yeah, I'm going to have to do the bulk of the first 9 months of the work. But after that, it's going to be a joint venture. And like, I'm not doing all of the legwork.
Right. I agree with that. I did not ever envision, actually, thinking back, there was a point in time that I was probably giving more lip service than actually anything. I had thought that like, I never wanted to get married. But if I had a kid, I would not want to be married to the father. And it had nothing to do with the father. I just didn't want to be legally tied to this. I get that we have to share the child.
Yeah.
And I was totally willing to do that. And when I looked at partners as I was getting older, I'm like, could I share a child with you? Like on like a custody agreement, because I don't want to be with you for the rest of my life. And that's more on me than them. However, I always sat on that fence and I could not reconcile the fact that I do not want a child. And if I do have a child, will I like it? And people kept saying you will. And I'm like, that's not true, because we see people in the news all the time that don't have that kind of connection to their child. And maybe I would have been fine. I have mothered the shit out of nieces and nephews. I guess we call them play nieces and nephews, whatever. I've mothered the shit out of them. Cousins, like third removed, whatever you call the little ones that run around because your cousins have children.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. I mother the shit out of people's children that just happen to be in my purview. I don't care about that. I just didn't want to take one home and like wake up at 6 a.m. every day with one and be responsible for. And I mostly, I think it's because I didn't want them to have the same experiences that I did. I didn't want to deal with that.
Well, and that's the thing. And I feel like some people say it's a very selfish thing to not have kids. And it's like, okay, I'll take that. Like, if you want to call me selfish for not having kids, that's fine. Like, bring it on. Okay.
Right.
I am selfish for not having children.
Hard eye roll, by the way.
Right. Hard eye roll, but like, great. I am a selfish human being because I have finally gotten to the point in my life, in my late 30s, where I'm comfortable in life. And if I were to have kids, this would be the point in time where I'd be like, okay, I could have a kid now because I can afford to have one, because kids are expensive.
But can you stay awake for one?
Right. But that's the thing. Like, I'm also getting to the age now where, like, when I go and play with my nephews, my 3-year-old and my 3-month-old, like the 3-month-old, great. You know, the 3-year-old, I absolutely adore. but he has so much energy. Like after an hour and a half, I am like, oh,
I just don't relate. I don't relate. Like my great nephew, I love him. I loved my 2 nieces and my nephew. So our family has always been a family of not genetics, but the proximity and what we did to take care of them. And unfortunately, we've lost contact with some of them. But the children, I would literally live or die for my 2 nieces and my nephew and my great nephew. Props to my one nephew that I love him, but he pisses me off. He's an adult. I can tell him that. He pisses me the fuck off. But his son, jump in front of a bus kind of love. But I didn't want to be their primary caretaker.
Yeah.
And even having them for a weekend, I was like, God damn, they never sleep.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so odd that not to equate children to puppies. I love fostering puppies, and you don't sleep for weeks. And then as they're getting to a certain age where they fall asleep, I'm like, this is why I didn't have kids, because they fucking never sleep.
Yeah.
And I like sleep more than I like children.
Well, and that's the thing. So it's nice. It's so nice to be able to hand them back. Like, it is the greatest feeling for me to have children in my life that I adore and love so much. But, like, I'm sorry, when the 3-year-old starts having a temper tantrum and doesn't want to do something, I can be like, oh, hey, Mom.
Yeah, you just stick them out at arm's length and you're like, here.
I don't know what's happening.
Or you just walk away.
Yeah. And I'm like...
I mean, as long as the child is in a responsible environment, just fucking walk away.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like the last time I was there, it was great because I got to see the new one and meet him and everything else. And I was playing with the 3-year-old and stuff like that. But, like, after a couple hours, I looked at my mom and I was like, so Starbucks? Do you want to go get some Starbucks? And she's like, yeah, Starbucks. And I'm like, yeah, cool. All right. We got to go.
But I love, I will say this. So I don't think the biological parents will ever listen to this, and I'm fine if they do. Fuck them if they do. My nieces and my nephew, they are, the niece is 19, and then we have, 19, 14, one will be 14. Anyway, one just turned 19, 14, 11. I should know this, but just there was an issue why we don't know this. Why I have a hard time keeping up. So I love them.
Yeah. I
love them more than anything. But I had a rift with the parents who used to be considered family, and that's fine. That's fine. But I have never met finer and more unique individuals, and I miss the 2 that I don't get to see because they're minors.
Right.
But if anything, the oldest one is displayed like there's just a little bit of me in all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And it drives their parents insane. And because of the things that have happened between me and their parents, I fucking love it.
Yeah.
My niece could not be, the oldest one cannot be more liberal. She is very BLM. Some of her mother's family forget the fact that she's half black. And they're like, nah. But she and I have conversations where I'm like, you don't have a black experience because you look like a white girl. So be careful with the privilege that you have because you are getting a pass.
Right.
This could have all gone a different way. I tried to get her to take ancestry DNA, and she's afraid that like somewhere down the road that will bite her in the ass. And I was like, honey, only if you like fucking rob a bank or kill somebody. Because my whole thing was like, if I kill somebody, nobody has my fingerprints. And my roommate at the time was like, you dumb fuck, you joined the military. They took our fingerprints. And I was like, really? Because I was so traumatized through the whole thing. But I love my niece, and I can't wait until I see my niece and my nephew as adults. Because I'm pretty sure that will happen. God damn, I love the shit out of her. But she's a moron. She knows it. But she's the funniest fucking person I've ever met.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I wasn't the one who raised her, because I'm not sure that I would appreciate her.
Oh, yeah.
In the same manner. She's the funniest damn person. She had an incident that just happened in her life. You and I have talked about this song, and I think about it every time I hear about her. She had an incident that recently happened in her life. And I pointed her to many videos on TikTok that was like, oh my goodness, let's see if I can remember it. So there's this trend that happened on TikTok, and it's probably getting into its late ages and nobody knows it. But somebody recorded a song that was like, don't be polite to men who creep you out. Don't be polite to men who creep you out. It's not your job to comfort men. So there's this whole thing. Her generation doesn't do it. She's 19. She had this situation where somebody approached her with this, what she felt was a very sexualizing comment to her text messaging. So it's a person who's personally related to her world. And they made a comment. She was like, that's not cool. That's let's not do that. And she is my fucking hero because of that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to raise her.
Right.
Sometimes I don't like her, but I love her so much. But if she were my own child, I'm not sure I would have the same feelings about her.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing I think about kids is that, like, when you have to be a disciplinarian as well as somebody who is teaching them and, like, everything else, I think that's where things get a little hard. And this is speaking to somebody who's not a parent, but watching my sister go through it, watching my mom go through it now as a grandma. It's kind of funny because it's one of those things where, like, I remember certain things growing up, like the way my mom, like, raised us, right? Or now I'm watching her raise, not that she's raising my sister's kids, but, like, my sister works
participating
full time. Yeah, she's participating in them and raising them. And so she babysits them, 5 days a week when my sister goes to work. So there's definitely, like, takes a village. And my mom's doing part of that raising, and, like,
I would be the village idiot.
Well, that's my mom is, like, teaching this kid, like, I go over there, and by the time he's 1, he's already walking. He already knows his ABCs. Like, at 3, he's reading books. He's like, he's doing things that, like, and I have no concept of, like, is this accomplishment? And then I'll see other things, and I'm like, oh no, this kid's smart as shit. Like, he knows all of this stuff. He uses a computer or laptop all the time. Like, he knows how to do shit. And I'm like, this kid had one-on-one teacher
right
in my mom 5 days a week since he was born.
But I encourage you to be involved in his life. God, if your sister would only have a boy or a girl.
Oh, trust me, though. So this is the worst part. So you know how you said, like, you see a little bit of yourself?
Right.
And yeah. This boy. So I was never the most girly of girls when I was growing up.
I hear you.
I was constantly...
I didn't wear a shirt until I was 7.
Oh, no. Well, this is... So when I was growing up, I was in Ohio for a little bit, and I was in Texas for a little bit. When I was in Texas, you weren't allowed, as a girl, you weren't allowed to wear pants to school. Like, girls had to wear dresses. Like,
what the fuck is that?
Oh, trust me.
You are...
It was, like, in the 80s.
You're 12 years younger than I am.
It was Texas. And it was the Panhandle, Texas. Like, I was in Abilene. There's middle of nowhere, Texas, right?
Oh, there's a podcast. If you guys want to know what it is, tweet me, and they talk about some panhandle fucking behavior. And it happens in every state. Every state has a panhandle.
Oh, yeah. So, like, you had to wear dresses and things. And my grandma was very much so. She, I think she used to own, like, a dress shop or something, like a kid's clothing store where we like, where she lived.
Oh, you think you remember that, but it's probably just she just made your shit.
Oh, that could be too. But so I had the poofiest, like, all of these poofy freaking, I looked like one of those little dolls that you would have sitting on your shelf all the time.
With the poofy shoulders?
Yes.
With the tight arms?
Poofy shoulders, tight arms, tight waist, and then poofy down below, like, in tights and the little patent leather black shoes. I actually busted my nose in 2nd grade because of patent leather shoes. I was running around on the playground and I slipped on some wet asphalt.
Oh, my mom made me wear saddle shoes for 2 years.
Okay, I loved saddle shoes.
Fuck that
I don't know why.
No. I was the only person in 2nd and 3rd grade in saddle shoes, and it's because she wore them in school. I think she loved them.
I'm
obsessed with the 50s. Because my mom has...
And I wanted saddle shoes so bad all the time.
My mom listens to this podcast, and I'm so sorry, Mom, but you know my feelings on the goddamn saddle shoes.
All right, Mindy's mom, I love saddle shoes, so you're totally redeemed. But so I would wear all these dresses all the time. Well, the problem is that I was totally like the kid that would play in the mud.
Yeah.
I would make full-on meals out of mud with my kitchen set. Like, I would go on the monkey bars and flip upside down. Even if I had a skirt on, I didn't care. Like,
just underwear above your head, skirt around your...
Underwear above my head is not... Because, you know, I had the poofy dress on, so I had the little boy short things with the ruffles on the butt, too, that matched the whole dress.
No, we didn't do boy shorts in my era.
No, that was the whole thing. Like, all of the undergarment, everything matched with all the ruffles and everything else.
Jesus, Brandy.
Oh, yeah. But so
was anything left for your sister? Or was it just like all you and then your sister came along and they were like, meh?
Oh no, my sister's older.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I missed that part of this.
Yeah. So she was like, when we were younger, my sister was the smarter person. And she was always the good, studious person. And then I was always the obnoxious one that would I got my mom arrested when I was 3.
Jesus, Brandy.
Yeah.
We're totally talking about that.
Yeah. So I like to climb. And this is where I mean my nephew is very much so like me. Like, he likes to climb and jump off of things and whatever else. And like, we're just waiting for the next time he breaks something or does something. So he's exactly like me when I was younger. So when I was 3, we were living in Texas and my mom had just bought a new bottle of grape chewable Tylenol. Which, if you've never had any,
killed your liver.
Tastes like candy.
Oh, that's what I thought about, like St. John's aspirin, baby aspirin.
Chewable grape Tylenol tastes just like grape, like Flintstones kind of. It's just like chewy. So we were at home. Mom was at work. Dad's watching football, reading the paper. I don't know what my sister was doing. So I went into the kitchen, pulled one of the dining room chairs. I'm 3, mind you. Pull one of the dining room chairs over to the counter, climb up onto the chair, onto the counter, get into the medicine cabinet, get the child-proof bottle, brand new bottle of grape chewable Tylenol out of the cabinet, eat the entire thing.
Jesus.
Put it back. Climb down, put the chair back.
You put the empty bottle back?
Go back about my business. Mom gets home later that evening and comes into my room, and I'm like, clearly, my tummy hurts. And she's like,
no shit, your liver is like dying.
So she goes to get me some grape chewable Tylenol because she knows she just bought a brand new bottle. And she's like asking my dad, where's the new bottle of Tylenol? Because this one's empty, whatever. No idea. Nobody knows. So she calls the hospitals like, my daughter ate an entire bottle of freaking Tylenol. Like, I'm bringing her in. What do I need to do? They're like, just bring her in, whatever. We get to the hospital. The police are waiting for her when we walk in the door.
No.
Immediately tear me out of her arms. She is like beyond pissed, beyond upset. So they put handcuffs on her, take her in a room, take me into a separate room. The doctor sits me down on a thing. They hand me a childproof bottle and asked me to open it because they didn't believe that I could open it by myurself. They thought she gave it to me.
Childproof bottles at your age are iPads today.
Yeah. I was like, so I just popped the sucker open and they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, what? I climbed on the counter, got the grape candy, and I opened it and I ate it. So they pumped my stomach. And I remember the doctor blowing up a glove, like one of the latex gloves. He blew it up and like tied it on the end and then drew a smiley face on it and gave it to me like a little balloon afterwards.
Yeah, that makes up for the fact that you just got charcoal shoved down your throat. And you're going to shit charcoal for 5 days.
So they finally uncuffed my mom and let her go. It's like, and then we go home and I'm like, hunky-dory, everything's fine, right? I just got grape candy and my mom got arrested. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So my nephew is definitely taking after me as far as the like climbing and doing things that maybe he shouldn't be doing. So hopefully he doesn't get to the point where he eats a whole bottle of Tylenol. But
I'm really hoping that genetics work out in this way. Oh my God. Thank you guys for joining us. As we've said before, you can join us on social media.
Yep.
We are Instagram and Twitter on DBBL_podcast and Facebook and YouTube at DBBL space podcast. Our website is dbblpodcast.com. You can sign up there for our newsletter. We have yet to do that, but it's going to happen. At least we'll let you know when things drop. If you're watching us on Instagram and Twitter, I just post stupid pictures.
And also the website is, you can also go to drunkbitchesbelike.com, but we've discovered that when you put the word bitches in anything, places don't like you.
So many people are discriminatory about that. So DBBL, if you're looking for us, DBBL is the key.
Yeah, DBBL.
However, you can find us on the internet as Drunk Bitches Be Like, but Instagram has not let me promote anything because we say drunk bitches, and Instagram says that we are describing a person in context. So I'm so sorry to all of you drunk bitches out there. I messaged Instagram and told them to let my promotion go through because I'm calling myself a drunk bitch. I'm calling Brandy a drunk bitch. We're calling ourselves
We are. We're calling ourselves
bitch.
That.
And Instagram
which is fine,
is fighting for our honor. And we feel like it's unnecessary. But we post some stupid pictures out there, so please join us. We love being your source for two women, a few beers, tipsy stories, and drunk ideas. Thank you so much for your support, and we will come to you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
All right. See you then. I'm so glad you know how to edit. What was a good idea to start with a higher octane beer?
Yeah. I like to take the really high octane and then add more high octane to it.
There you go. I was just trying to think while I was in the shower drinking Diet Dr. Pepper and 2 shots of Four Roses. Liquor before beer, I'm in the clear. Or liquor before beer, I'll never fear. And then I was like, what about wine? What if I want to drink wine when I get there? Liquor before wine, you'll be fine. I don't think that's a thing.
I think wine and beer are like on the same playing field. But what do you do about wine versus beer?
Podcast.
You know what's really hard? Trying to eat Cheetos while you're doing a podcast.
Suck. That overflowed very quickly. Nobody's going to take me seriously because I'm hiccuping. I think this is the second time this has happened in a podcast. This is really...
It might be, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's kind of fantastic for me.
I'm so glad you enjoy it.
Well, I'm usually the one that's hiccuping, and I'm not now, so...
I feel like I'm more sober than you, but I'm more hiccupy than you.
You are. That is absolutely accurate.